If you're looking for the ultimate street and off-road accessory for your 24 and newer 4-door JL Wrangler, the Rokslide Engineering 3rd Gen step sliders will be the right fit for you. These are a really slick bit of kit that combine the best of both a power sidestep and a rock slider, so you get all the protection and access you could ever want in a really well integrated package. These might just be some of the coolest things you can get for a JL. Not only do they look great, but they also have multiple functions and are actually good at all the things that they do. For starters, they function as a rock slider. In their default position, as you see them here on the table, the body of the step slider hugs the rocker panel of the Jeep to provide you with lots of protection. So as the name implies, these are a rock slider. When you're out on the trail, these are designed to take the hit of big rocks or other obstacles, and those things will slide right off, keeping the body of the Jeep protected. And these are not just flimsy boxes either. Trust me when I say these things are hefty. They're made from 10 gauge seals, so they're thick, and they offer plenty of impact protection just purely by the weight alone. But they are also power side steps. So when you open the door to the Jeep, these panels right here drop down 12 inches to give you a wide step to access the cabin or the roof. So especially if you've got a big lift on your rig, these are gonna give you plenty of access. Now on the step surface itself, you'll find an anti-slip pad to help you get a foothold even in slipperier conditions. Rokslide Engineering also made notable improvements with these over the previous generation. There's an additional 2 inches of step length at the back end of the step itself, and they've integrated smart motor technology to make these deploy and retract quicker and more reliably. There's no more gas struts, so even in cold weather, you're reliant completely upon these motors, so they will deploy and retract instantly. They're not going to be as affected by adverse conditions. They also now have a built-in sleep mode, so there isn't a constant draw on your battery if you have your Jeep parked for long stretches of time. And this is designed to be pretty much a plug-and-play kit as well. Now there is this standalone wiring harness right here, so you just have to run a few cords, plug a few things in, and really hook up power and ground right there from your battery. So there's really no wiring required here. You can get the steps bolted into place, plug everything in, and you're pretty much ready to go. We'll talk more about that in a few moments. These are made from 3/16 inch thick 10 gauge stainless steel, and the internals and steps are made from even more stainless steel and aluminum. So needless to say, from the materials alone, these are just pretty darn strong. Now that material is finished off with an acid etch to remove impurities from the metal, and then it's topped off with a textured black powder coat, which is what you see before you here. And that's gonna add another layer of protection against the elements and impacts. Everything you need comes included in the kit too, makes that installation we were just talking about very straightforward. More on that in a moment. As you might expect, this is a premium product, and thus it's going to command a premium price. Expect to spend around $2,500 for this setup. And yes, that is a good chunk of change, but for something that integrates this well and performs multiple functions like these do, honestly, I don't think it's that much to ask. And if you're planning to really use your Jeep, if it's a daily driver, if you're taking it off-road, really whatever you're doing with it, if you're gonna be using it and wanna use it to its fullest extent, it's worth finding the room in your budget for a set of these. Installation gets a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and expect the job to take you around 3 hours to complete. Like we were discussing a few moments ago, everything is gonna bolt in and plug in with no permanent modifications or wiring necessary, but there is quite a bit to do. You've got to route all this wiring, and these units are very heavy. So you're gonna need to route that wiring, get everything plugged in, and while the job is pretty straightforward, it is gonna take some time and effort. Fear not though, we're going to walk you through the install process step by step, so for that, let's head on out to the shop.
For this install, you will need various impacts, a ratchet, a small pry bar, 8, 10, 13, and 18 millimeter sockets, 10 and 13 millimeter ratchet wrenches, 4 millimeter Allen wrench, a clip removal tool, a panel tool, a marker, a tape measure, a dead blow hammer. Also not shown here is a file and an extra set of hands. What's up guys, today we're going to be installing some step sliders on our Wrangler, so let's get started. Alrighty guys, so we're starting off at the passenger side of the vehicle, and the first thing we need to do is grab our wiring harness. We're going to route this under the passenger side up into the engine bay. It's much easier than trying to fish your entire harness through the engine bay and down, because we're going to also need to cross over to the driver's side of the vehicle. So we're going to get this underneath. We'll show you a few securing points to hold your harness up, and then we'll get this up and hook up to our battery. All right, so our first step is going to be to take our positive and negative terminals, and we're going to send those up through behind our fender liner into our engine bay. You need to pull out on your liner a bit. And at first you just want to get this in the general area. You'll see a wide open space with some light. You just want to get that in there first. Then we'll work our way up to the engine bay. Alrighty guys, so where you want your harness to come up is in the open space between the battery and the engine. Now we did already pull ours through. It's just gonna take some fishing and reaching down in there to get it once you have it hanging on the frame rail. It's pretty easy to get to if you stand up in your engine bay and reach down through there. You can pull that up. Now once we have this up, we're gonna open this inline fuse cover and then remove this fuse for now. That's gonna keep our circuitry dead while we install everything. We'll just set that aside right here. Now once we have our harness up and our fuse removed, I'm gonna get the cover off of the positive battery terminal, and we can hook our positive wire onto our smaller terminal up here. So we've got our 10 mil socket. We're gonna remove the nut. Careful not to drop that. We'll take our positive wire, put that onto our terminal, like so. And reattach that 10 millimeter nut. We'll tighten that back down. We can cover that back up. Now our negative wire, we're not going to be hooking that to the battery. We're gonna hook that to a chassis ground. You can fish that here. And you have multiple selections along the sides of your engine bay, because if you try to go forward, it's going to reduce the length of your harness. So we can go to one of these that have an existing 10 millimeter nut on it. Now we're going to need a ratchet for that. Now we've got our 10 mil socket on our ratchet. We're going to remove this body ground. Be careful not to drop this down in your engine bay. Put that over in position. Reinstall that nut. Grab our 10 mil socket, tighten this back down. Alrighty guys, so now we're back underneath the vehicle on the passenger side, and we're gonna start securing our harness so we can route it through the entire vehicle and over to the driver's side. The first thing we're gonna do is attach our provided harness clip. So we're gonna get that harness into the clip. You're gonna make sure it sits all the way back in the opening. Then you're gonna find a threaded insert that is already on the vehicle at the bottom side of our inner rocker. We're just gonna close that enough to get this provided bolt through loosely in place. Now we're not going to be tightening this down all the way because we do want to have some adjustability with our harness. So that's still got motion. We're still able to pull it through. Then we'll move along down, and we're going to add in a couple zip ties to hold this in place as well. Next, we can install a zip tie in some of the openings underside of our rocker. Again, we're just going to leave these loose for now. This is going to hold our harness, but we still want to be able to move it around if we need to. Once we get that one in, there's the rest of your passenger side. We're going to leave this free for now. And then the driver's side of our harness, we're going to start routing over to the other side of the vehicle. And we're going to use this underside cross member to secure that. We're going to grab a couple more zip ties. Now, you definitely don't want your harness to be on the exact bottom of your cross member, especially if you plan on doing any off-roading. You don't want this to be at a low point on your vehicle. But off to the side will provide some protection. Get that in place. Then you can add in some zip ties along the way, routing this over to the driver's side of your vehicle. Just make sure it's not touching the exhaust, because you don't want that to burn up your harness. All right, so our next step, now that we're over to the driver's side, is going to be to begin passing our connection wires up through the body of the vehicle into the cab. So the plug we're going to be looking for is right forward of the mid body mount. It's going to be a little bit ahead of that, directly above the frame rail. We're going to have to go into the cab, remove some trim, and pull back our carpet to expose that. That's about where we want to be, and we're going to pass our switch wires and our door switch wires through. Now we've come up into the cab, and the first thing we're going to need to do is remove our kick panel trim and our C-pillar trim for the front and rear seats. You may need a body panel removal tool. Get wedged under here. These kind of come out and up, and you may need to move your seat around. And also, if you do have floor mats, you will need to remove those. This makes things much easier. These are kind of tricky to pop out first. Now, while removing your trim, you're also going to want to pull this underseat section of carpet up. So that's just on a single button retainer, and it is overlapped on the front portion of carpet, and you can peel that up and you'll have a straight shot right by that retainer for your body plug. So we're going to remove that. That's going to open up the area for our door switches. So we'll grab those. You want to make sure they're not wrapped around any other part of your harness. We can bring those up through into the cab. That's pretty easy access, just reaching under. You have to be mindful of your frame itself. Pull one. There's second one in. So we've got those pulled up through. So now we'll be able to access points for our front and rear doors. So now when doing this at home, you can cut a slit into this grommet and send these switches through, or these plugs through rather, and then put a little sealant on and get that plug back in to seal up your body. For demonstration purposes, we're not going to cut into our grommet, we're just going to leave that out. Now we're going to leave this carpet up for now because we want to be able to move this harness around as we need. Okay. Now for our operating switch, we're going to use this forward plug. Now you will notice in the driver's footwell of your cab, you have a cutout for that grommet that we're going to need to access. So we're going to take a trim tool, just pop that up. Now this doesn't come all the way out, but it is cut pretty well. Reach in, pull that grommet out too. Again, you can cut a slit in this and replace it. For demonstration purposes, we're not cutting into our grommets. So now that we have that open, we can take our switch wires, just like our door switches, pass those through into our cab. Now you do have a couple options. You could tuck these under your carpet, or if you have floor mats, you can just put them under your floor mats and run them along the side, because it's only going to be a small section of wire that's going to run to your actual floor. So we want to pull this up a good bit. Again, we're going to leave that open for now so we have room to adjust our wiring and install our switch. All right, so our next step is going to be to install our switch mounting bracket. Now there's a couple ways to do this. If your particular Jeep has accessible screws for your OBD2 port mount, you're going to remove one of the screws and use that to install it up under your dash. Now if you don't have accessible screws like the way ours is, we're going to use a clip removal tool and pop out one of our harness retainers that runs directly underneath our dash by our OBD2 port. We're going to pop that out. We're going to get our harness or our bracket in place, and we're going to use a provided bolt and nut to mount this on. So we'll get under there and do that. Again, this is going to be hard to see, but once you get under there, the OBD2 port is the location that you want to be around. So we're using our clip removal tool, again, to pop out one of our harness retainer clips. And you'll see there's a bracket that goes straight across the underside of your dash for this. Pop that out. Sometimes it can be a little stubborn. Take your time with it. Once you have that out, Now once we have that in place, we'll grab our 8mm socket on our ratchet and a 4mm Allen wrench. Now that we've got our switch mounted, you want to grab your switch wires. You're going to pass those through the backside of your bracket to the front. Now we're going to take our switch. It does have an on-off indicator as well as 2 pins in the back. We're going to take our ground, plug that in the bottom, and our power here. You're going to see the ground is where the off position is. The power is going to be in the on position. Once you have that done, you can slide your excess wiring back through. Your switch is just going to clip into place on your bracket. So that fully seats. Alright guys, so once we've reached that step in our cab, we're going to come back underneath the vehicle and it's time to start mounting up our main brackets for our step sliders themselves. Now, we're going to come under and find our main body mounting bolts. There's going to be 3 on each side. They're going to look like this with very large washers. So we're just going to loosen them up enough to slide our brackets in. We do not need to fully remove them. So we're going to use an 18mm socket on our impact and loosen these up. Again, once you have some play in your washer, you can check how much gap you have. You might need to work these back and forth a little bit. We have a little bit of play. We need to go a little bit farther. That should be more than enough. Then we'll do the same thing for the other 2 body bolts. Alrighty guys, so now that we have our bolts loosened up, you're going to grab your mounting brackets. Now these have a slotted opening to go in between the head of your body bolt and the washer. Now these are going to be a very tight fit because we're not going to the bolt behind the washer, we're going in between the head of the bolt and the washer. Now if you're having a tough time getting these to fit, you have 2 options. You can either take a small file and file down the first 2 threads on your bolt shank, or you can grab a rubber mallet and try to beat this into place. Once you've got this one in position, you can install your rear and front mounts. Again, the rear is going to be your longest one and the front will be your shortest one. So now that we've got our brackets installed, we're not going to tighten them down just yet because we want to allow for any adjustments we need to make when installing our steps. Now, before we install our steps, we need to install our bump seal along our body. That's going to protect our body from anything going on between our steps or our steps themselves. So we're going to grab a tape measure and a marker. You want to come from the bottom of your door seal, measure down 1 3/4 inches. Now you can also use tape to mark this out, whichever you feel more comfortable with. We're going to make a few marks along the bottom of our door seals for the front and rear. Again, 1 3/4 inches down is where you want them. Now another good way to do this, now one other alternative option for doing this is grabbing some 1 3/4 wide tape and going flush with your door seals, and then just running that along from the front or the rear of the truck. Okay, now we can grab our bump seal, and you're going to notice a notch. You want that to be towards the rear of the installation side. And you're going to line that up with the body seam of your Jeep. So it's held on by an adhesive strip on the back, so we've got some of that removed. I'm going to peel some of that back. We're going to go in increments. You want to fold this out so you can access it. We want to line this up at our marks. Again, you want that notch to line up with the rear body seam. Once you got that straight along your marks, start peeling more adhesive back. Press that on. Once you have it in place and lined up, you want to give it some firm presses all the way down. It's going to stick that adhesive in place nicely. Alrighty guys, so now it's time to install our step sliders themselves. Now these have 2 bolts at various points along the backside that are going to line up with the factory holes in our pinch weld, as well as the 4-bolt mounting brackets that we've installed previously. I highly suggest grabbing an extra set of hands like we have, because these are very heavy. So we'll get this up, get them lined up, and get them in place. Now that we have our step slider on, we can come forward and install our washers and lock nuts onto our studs that go through the pinch welds first. Now, there are 2 different size studs depending on the location of where you're at with your pinch weld studs. So the orientation of that from front to rear is going to be 1/4 inch for the first stud, 5/16 for the second stud at the front mount. Both of the middle mounting studs are going to be 5/16. And then once you get to the rear, you're going to have 1/4 inch and 5/16. So we'll install a flat washer and a lock nut. These are hard to get to, but you do have access holes on the bottom as well as the back of the step slides. Get that one on. Now we're not going to tighten these down just yet. And we'll install the rest of our nuts as in the orientation previously mentioned. Now once we have all of our pinch bolt nuts in place, it's time to install our mounting bolts for our main brackets. So we've got our provided bolts with flat washers. I'm going to get those up through into our mounting brackets. Now you may need to adjust these around to get them to line up perfectly. So you can grab a small pry bar, gently work these around until they line up. It is a bit of a tight fit. Just want to get these started for now. Now once you've got these 4 loosely in place, you can do the same thing for the other 2 brackets. Alright, so once we have all of our hardware in, we can begin tightening everything down. Now we're going to use a 13mm ratchet wrench for our pinch weld bolts that are the 5/16 ones, and then you'll need a 10mm for your 1/4 inch. It's all going to be the same process. This is also going to bring your slide steps in more. Have those 2 tightened down. We'll grab our 13mm socket on our impact and tighten down our 4 mounting bolts for our main bracket. And once you have all these tight for your first bracket, you want to do the same thing for the other 2 brackets. And then after you have all those tightened down, we'll come back and tighten down our body mount bolts. Now to tighten down our body mounting bolts, we'll once again grab our 18mm socket, our impact, come back and tighten these down. Next we can plug in our steps. So we've got our main connector for our motor. That's going to go in this rear access slot. Now you can tuck this inside of your step if you want to keep it down and out of the way, up and out of the way rather. You're going to need to angle this facing towards the connector. I know this is really not easy to see. You want to snap that into place. Now we can plug in our other 2-wire connector. So you're going to have a red and yellow wire with a 2-pin plug going out of the back of your step. You're going to match that up to the red and yellow 2-wire connector on your harness. And we'll plug that in. Now this other connector is for the optional light kit, which we are not installing. So you just want to tuck that back in out of the way, and you can secure that however you see fit. You just don't want it to interfere with the function of your actual step. Alright guys, so at this point we want to install the fuse back into our inline fuse socket. So plug that back in. You want to cover that back up, that keeps it watertight. And once we have our fuse plugged in, we're going to turn our switch to the on position. Now we want to grab one of our door mounted switches. That's going to be this magnet receiver end with the little seal on it and a 2-plug connector. And we have our 2 door connectors that we did previously send inside the vehicle. We have them out here just for demonstration purposes to show you what's going to happen. Now we're going to calibrate our system. So we want to plug these in. Now you have a designated switch for each door, front and rear. You only need 1 switch for this. So we're going to plug this in and calibrate each of our doors. We're going to plug this in and your step should extend. Then you want to unplug it. It should automatically extend or retract after a few seconds. We're going to do the same thing for each one. Now once you've reached this step for this side, you want to repeat the same process on the other side and calibrate your steps. So now once we have our steps calibrated, it's time to mount our switches. We're going to go to the rear section of our front door. You can do these at the front or the rear of your doors, as long as anywhere the door itself is going to make contact, and we can install both sides of our switches. So we're going to add in our adhesive strip to the back side of our switch. I'm going to remove that cover. Not just yet though. We're going to take our wiring. We're going to fish that through behind our C-pillar. Now one easy way to access this is to take off your seat belt bracket cover. It should just pop off. You may need a clip removal tool, a trim removal tool rather. You can pop that aside for now. That gives you a nice open space at the bottom inside. I know it's hard to see right here. You can reach through. This also gives you a little bit more leverage. Pull your panel back. You can pull that through the other side. We're going to get this at a spot where it's not really going to get pinched. Remove the cover from your weather strip, as well as your switch. And run that along the inside of our door. Now you want this to be on a flattish surface. And mount this in the center of our door pocket. Okay, so now we've got our harness end of our switch connector. We're going to plug that into our door switch. And once you have this plugged in, you want to watch out because it will do the same thing again that we did in calibration. And you want to tuck that back in underneath your seat belt area. Want to make sure you're not in the way of any wiring. Reinstall our seatbelt cover. Then you can do the exact same thing for your rear door and the other side. Now once you have the door side of your switches in place, we're also going to need to install our activator magnet, which is going to go on the door itself. Now you want to apply your adhesive to the back of your provided magnet. It has a little 3M cover on it. These are very slick and finicky to deal with. Take that side off, apply your adhesive backing. The red side is going to be the side that goes on the door. Now, if you want to test this out, you can tape these to the door and check your functionality. We have our power switch off right now. We'll be turning that back on in a second. But in general, you want to bring your door close to where your switch is. Line that up. And stick that in the center of the rear of the doorway or the front if you're doing the front. Just like so, and then when the door closes, this magnet is going to activate the switch, and when it opens, it's going to deactivate it, so it's going to open or retract. Now once you've got everything in place, you can resecure all your carpentry and trim panels. Make sure everything is nice and secure, and we'll tuck in our switch wire for the front. So again, that you can just run under the forward kick panel and keep it out of the way. Reinstall panel. All right, so once you've got everything hooked up and tucked away, you can go back underneath and secure the rest of your harness up and out of the way. Just keep in mind, you want to make sure it's not at the lowest point of the vehicle or around any hot or moving parts, so you don't want to damage your harness in the process, but feel free to make it your own, secure it and tuck it however you'd like. You also want to remember to tighten down this bolt for our harness clip, which is a 13mm socket on our impact. Alrighty folks, that about wraps up our review and install of our Rockslide Engineering's 3rd Gen step sliders for your 24 to current Jeep Wrangler JL 4-door. Thanks for watching, and as always, for everything Wrangler, keep it right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.